obviously we've been looking back at the Kings season all week, unfortunately. Um, but one conversation that really got going today was the biggest surprise this season for the Sacramento Kings. If I asked you what is your biggest surprise from this past season from Sacramento, what would it be?
Are we talking player? Are we talking overall theme? What are we talking about?
Whatever you want, whatever you want. What's when you look back and say, this really surprised me.
Um, I think what really surprised me is that the team won 48 games and was a number 3 seed in the West. Just because there was so much, like baggage to do that. The most this team in my 12 years before the season covering the team, the most they had won was 39 games under Dave Yeager. I mean, we're talking about a 18 game increase from last year's win total, and just the way that they were able to stay together, the positivity, the lack of 3 game losing streaks, like I'm someone who's covered like multiple 8 game losing streaks, 9 game losing streaks in
Mhm.
seasons. And to see a team hold on and just find success and embrace it and not get in their own way and not have drama and not have any of that stuff, I think that to me is the most surprising thing this season.
Find another fan base that just goes, please just don't lose 9 games in a row twice. That's all we're asking. You lose 9 games in a row once, fine. Just don't lose 9 games in a row twice.
Once again, crazy that if they wouldn't have done that twice, they would have made the
Insane.
play.
Insane.
All they had to do was just have one 9-game losing streak and then lose 6 of 9 the next time, and they're in the play.
My first season covering this team, I think they lost 8 in a row. Then they beat the Washington Wizards, which was supposed to be DeMarcus Cousins versus John Wall the first time ever in their rookie season. And the Kings won that game, and then they lost 7. So they lost 15 out of 16. So I learned very quickly that losing streaks were going to be a huge part of what was going on.
For me, it was Keegan. I didn't
Okay.
expect Keegan Murray to be this good this quickly. He was. I used the line that like I felt like Keegan's record really started to sneak up on us till it was pretty clear that it was going to happen, and he just quietly hit 203 3-pointers, and it feels like Malik hit like 5,000 really loud 3-pointers, and then of course it's a different style, a different personality, like the whole thing. But I feel like I remember all of Malik's threes. I remember the record-breaking 3 from Keegan. Like that's the one I remember because he accidentally smiled. That's what I remember about that.
Yeah,
But
but
he's
didn't you?
really good. Like I didn't expect him to be this good.
I expect. I mean, he averaged 12 points a game. I mean, I expect him to do a little bit better than that. Like, to be honest, like I'm excited to see where he can go in his career, but I kind of felt like he was going to be around 15 points a game, 16 points a game as a rookie, just because he came in as a ready player, as someone who was seasoned at the college level and more mature, and you kind of knew what his game was. So, I thought he was good like all season long. I didn't think he was ever after like the early season chatter. Yeah, I don't think he was ever in the rookie of the year conversation. I was like super impressed with him at summer league, and that shows you some of the potential that he has moving forward. But overall, I mean, like, if I'm giving him a grade, it's probably like a solid B on the season. And there's a lot of room for him to grow and to get better. And this team, the franchise believes he's going to be a star, so that usually helps you if the franchise believes that you can be a star, as opposed to like not really convinced. They're convinced he's going to be great.
Yeah, I think part of it too is, Kenny always talks about, well, that's how you get to an average. Like he averaged 12 points per game. He had like 3s and 2s and 4s. Like he had some like really weird games in there and stretches of weird games, but he also had 30 and 29 and 22. Like he had some pretty big games where you walk away going, man, Keegan's a dude. Keegan might be a dude.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, when you talk about that, the 30-point games, right? Just remember that, like, coming into this season, Kevin Herter had never averaged 30 and never scored 30 in a game. So to have a rookie come in and be able to score 30, that's really impressive. That's something, again, that Herter just couldn't do forever. It's something that not all players do in the league. Even Harrison Barnes, like, career high was like 33, and to have a rookie come in and score 30, it just shows you the potential. And I think that the potential is unlimited there. We just have to see how he grows, how his body changes. Again, whether he can be a 3, whether he's going to stay at the 4, like a lot of things that have to be worked out, like over the next couple of months, but over really the next like 3 or 4 years as he develops.
Shout out to Chester in the chat who says the most surprising thing for him this year was the beam.
Well,
oh yeah.
I mean, surprised that it came out of left field for everybody. Shout out to the beam. But
it's literally worked into our show. Like, it's in the background of the graphic. Like it's
never leaving.
The
beam is never going anywhere.
It's such a huge part of the Kings now.
Yeah, absolutely. James, I said it was a little different look, but I looked at 2 guys as high on him as I was. Malik Monk probably exceeded expectations even a little bit for me. Just, his game, being able to go off for 30 at any given time, and also his leadership. Like, he was a leader for this team, and I didn't know that about him. I didn't know he had that quality in him. And then also I said Domantas Sabonis. I knew he was good. We saw, him at the end of the season. I think we saw 10 games or 14 games of him last year, but even he was even better than I realized this year. He was really, really good this year. One of the top players in the league. And I'm not sure I thought he would be one of the top players of the league coming into the season. So those 2 guys that I really liked coming into the season even exceeded expectations for me.
It's interesting. Like, we get to the end and, like, you can have those 2 takes with no problems. Damien can have his. I can have mine. If someone were to say, like, I thought Kevin Herter was much better than I thought, and you get jaded because of the playoff run, but man, Kevin Herter had a really good season. We could talk about Harrison Barnes not falling off like everyone thought he was going to fall off, and still being like probably the 3rd best player on the team through the 82 game schedule, not in the playoffs, but through the 82 game schedule. I think we could talk about like Mike Brown's like first season and how he captured the imagination of the team and how amazing that was. I think we could talk about Trey Lyles, who, like, I talked about it throughout the season. That guy probably won this team like 6 to 8 games, just flat out. Like, he was a difference maker again and again, and he did it in the playoffs too, where he just showed up. And you're like, holy cow, look how good this is. So this guy is. So I think it's really interesting that, I mean, I would even say, like, one of the biggest surprises for me this season is that the Kings didn't make a move at the deadline out of Kessler Edwards. And that's not, in basketball world, that's not really making a move. Like, there's a lot of things that happened this season. Monty McNair came into the season as a lame duck general manager. Like, we wrote about it. We talked about it. We just, like, kept saying, like, why is this guy not extended? Why is he not extended? They waited until I think it was January 24th to extend him. I mean, even that in itself is crazy, that Monty McNair gets to stay in Sacramento and run this team for the next 4 or 5 years. We don't know what the contract is, but, like, there's a lot of surprises in this season. And I think it speaks volumes to the success of the team and how well this season went for everybody. I guess not everybody. There are some players that didn't have great breakout seasons, but we could even, like, Alex Len, the last 2 weeks of the season in the first, like, 3 games of the playoffs, you're like, where did this come from? Like, this season is filled with a bunch of things that you just can't move. Like, you're surprised